Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank ACAMP for getting the opportunity to speak to all of you this afternoon. I hope at the end of this presentation that you'll know two things. One is that when you're looking at leveraging your dollar, NSERC, the Natural Sciences Engineering Research Council of Canada, might be a strategy you might consider, and that would be by leveraging the expertise and the talent that exists within our post-secondary institutions. And second of all, what I'd like you to take away from this presentation is I'm sure you're not going to remember all the slides that go through, but at least that you'll know how to find out how to get in touch with us. And so if I can do that in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I think we're doing really well. Also, you don't have to worry about manually taking any notes because I know that this presentation will be made available, and you also do have some pamphlets that have been set aside on the front table. So with that, I'm going to start with a quick overview of NSERC and then highlight some of the NSERC programs that I think might be of most interest to you at this stage, and then be able to answer maybe one or two questions. NSERC is a federal funding agency. It is supported through the tax dollars that you and I pay, and it funds the research and development work that gets done at our colleges and our universities. Many of you may know the NSERC from being one of the tri-councils, SHRC being Social Sciences, Humanities Research Council, or CIHR, which is the Canadian Institute for Health Research. And probably most of you know the CIHR because of the way it impacts us as far as our health and our medical services go. But you also may know NSERC from the discovery side of things. And this is the curiosity-based research that happens at universities, and that represents about 40% of the budget of NSERC. People represents about 30 to 33% of our budget, and that's the scholarships and fellowships we provide to students at the undergraduate all the way up to postdoc. The component that's of interest to this audience, I think, is going to be the innovation side of things, which is our research partnership programs. With these programs, we do require that a company be an integral partner in the research work that's being done at the post-secondary institutions. So $300 million is going to support research and development work that's of interest, has an applied application for a company. Now, I did skip over a little bit about the people side, but I do want to mention that we do have some programs where you can actually hire some of these individuals to work in your organizations or be able at least to work more closely with them. So we have a program for undergraduate students. It's a 16-week program. NSERC will provide $4,500 to support them doing work in research and development in the natural science and engineering area for the company. The company needs to contribute a minimum $1,125. It's not a lot of money, and it probably is not enough money to get the students that you need. So the way I position it, and I'll only do one example here. So say you've got $9,000 that you're going to spend on bringing a student in. Well, now you can apply to NSERC and take that $9,000, and now you've got $4,500, so you can actually bring in a student at a higher salary level, which may make you more competitive and bring the top talent in. The other way that I position it is if you take that $9,000, you split it in two halves, you got $4,500 and $4,500, you come to our program, now you can bring on two students, so already, going further ahead with it. The only other thing I would add about this program is that if there's any other programs, provincial or federal, like where it's like a co-op program that you can get an extra $1 per hour, you can actually, in this circumstance, actually use those programs to benefit you and actually add that. So the only thing that we care at NSERC is that you provide the minimum of $1,125 towards that 16-week term. Now, at the other side of the spectrum, we've got postdocs, and with postdocs, you do have a very attractive program here in Alberta called the R&D Associates Program. The R&D Associates Program as a competitive program, and that will provide $55,000 a year plus $7,000 for research expenses, and that's each year for 2 years. Well, you can also come to NSERC, get an additional $30,000 to support that same postdoc as working in industry, provided that you put in a minimum of $10,000. So both of these programs are going to help you leverage your dollars further and be able to bring the talent and give you a chance to check, what their potential is within the company. We do also have another program where it's a three-way relationship. You have to have the researcher you have to have the student and the company, and the commitments for longer term. It's for a master's or PhD student, so a master's student minimum 2-year contribution, and for a PhD it'd be 3 years. And the idea here is it's a problem that you're looking at. It's not going to affect you tomorrow, it's not going to affect you in 6 months, but if you knew the answer to this 2 or 4 or 5 years down the road, it may make a huge difference to the way you do business or the type of products or services you do. So here's an opportunity to actually kind of be involved in this company-specific problem that the student is doing this research down the road, and then maybe bring them on later on as an employee. One of the things that was recognized is it's really difficult for researchers and companies to get to know each other, and sometimes that person that you need to be working with is not in your city. So we do have this program where a researcher can apply to get travel funds from anywhere in Canada to meet with a company in Canada. So this will provide up to $5,000 for them to travel. They can bring their student if it makes sense. And the idea is that they'll sit down and have a conversation to see if there was ways that the two of you can establish a research collaboration. We have a second program called the Engage program. So whether this person's in your backyard or whether they've traveled to meet you, now they're interested and you're interested in working on a problem that requires natural science and engineering expertise, requires some research and development. You can now work on a 6-month project with a company, with a researcher. So the researcher would apply. They would get $25,000 to work on a company-specific problem. Within this thing, we don't want to have a lot of time delays. So within this, we expect intellectual property to belong to the company, so you don't have to worry about that negotiation at this time. And the whole idea is to kind of do a first date, check it out, see if you guys can work together, and see what the value is for the dollar. We do expect this to be a partnership, so the company and the researcher need to be meeting. There needs to be some in-kind, in-kind support coming, whether it's in the time of your employees or whether it's in the time or the equipment or samples. So there has to be an opportunity for the two of you to be able to develop a relationship over the 6 months. Provided all that's gone really well and you're comfortable in sitting down and deciding on a much longer term project, we do have those available as well. This is support for university-based industry-oriented projects that have got timelines, they've got milestones, deliverables. The project duration's anywhere from 1 to 5 years, but typically they come in at about 3. The average grant size that a researcher would get to work on your problem is $55,000 per year, but it could be smaller than that or it could be much more significant. These projects are driven by what the company needs, by the partner. And you have to have these milestones and deliverables clearly identified because that's the only way that these projects will be supported. And you have to, in advance of starting the project, define what the knowledge transfer plans are going to be. This is just a list of the types of projects that could fall under this. So it could be looking at new materials, could be looking at product design and development, could be looking at upstream biomedical technologies. It could be any nature of things, as long as they require natural science and engineering, that there's some type of challenge, some type of innovation required, and it's appropriate for a university researcher. Now I'm just going to shift gears a little bit. So we talked a little bit about universities, which is one of our post-secondary institutions. We've got another set of institutions, and many of you may be more comfortable, more familiar with them, which is our colleges. So you've got State, Olds College, Lethbridge College, like in the southern part of Alberta, just to name a few. And there is opportunities to do work with them. And so this Applied Research and Development Grant Program is also relatively new. This program here provides an opportunity for you to work with a college on a company-specific problem. We've got 2 classifications here. So the first one is under $25,000 for up to 6 months. This is a new relationship between the college and yourself. So the company cannot have had a research collaboration for this very first top one. It's a fast turnaround time. One thing I should say is for all these ones I've talked about so far, there is no deadline dates. You don't have to worry about getting it in on April the 1st or April the 15th. The interaction, the engaged, industrial scholarships and fellowships, the cloud research and development, they can be applied at any point in time, and most times it's the researcher who's doing the work for you. This one is the same thing. There's no timelines, no deadline dates. And in these areas under the $25,000 for 6 months, again, in-kind contribution, no cash required. If you have a relationship with the college, you've done some research collaborations, well, you can still do work with them, but now we expect that you're putting in some more skin in the game, so to speak. So 1/3 of the project costs both a combination of, again, cash or in-kind contributions. And then you can do much larger projects, over 75,000. But here again, because there's more money involved, there's more of an expectation the company is going to be more involved and more invested. And of course, there's many advantages of working with the post-secondary expertise that exists. Not only does it give you savings in the research costs that you have a chance to interact, with some of the highly qualified people that work there, both the students as well as the staff. There is an opportunity for you to have access to some of the most amazing facilities that can exist, and that, of course, as a company, you could never personally afford. There is also the opportunities that most of these NSERC support programs are eligible for the Canada Revenue Agency Scientific Research and Experimental Development Tax Credit. So when you start taking a look at the dollars invested and the return that you get on that dollar, it quickly adds up that your dollar is going quite a distance. Now, I said there's two things that I want you to take away from this. One of them was that maybe there's a way that you can do research and development work at post-secondary institutions and leverage the expertise that's there. The second thing is, how do you get more information, or how do you get in touch with us? Well, the Prairie's office is the place to start. We can help you with the forums. We can help connect you with the people. We can help you with some of the black tape or red tape, whatever color might be, plug you into our connections and our networks, be able to set up into individual meetings. So if you need to find a researcher and you're not sure who that researcher might be, we can give you some suggestions on who those people might be. And of course, we can help set larger meetings like this. And going forward, I think we might have an opportunity of working with ACAMP on further opportunities like this particular session today. And this is who we are. We're 4 people in our office, but we travel regularly, and we're in Alberta on a monthly basis.